So welcome to 40k chat. We're going to talk about the Tyranid Codex. I'm Scott.
I'm Ali.
And I'm Ben.
We've all had a look at it. Some of us more than others. What are your first impressions?
I've played Tyranid since I was 12 years old. They've been sitting in a box under my bed for like 3 years, and I'm going to get them all out. In fact, I've got some of them on my desk already. I've got my Swarm Lord and my old One Eye.
Do you rate the new model?
I mean, the model's not very exciting, but then like a lot of the Tyranid models aren't very exciting. Painting up very fast because he doesn't have it's not like a Space Marine where he's got a million patches and straps and stuff. It's just pretty straightforward. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
I'll give him a go in a game as well, see what I think of him, and then he can go in the box.
And then have you used them again? What we're going to go over, we'll go over faction-wide abilities, we'll go over secondaries, Hive Fleets, Warlord Traits, Relics, Psychic Powers, the upgrade system, which is called, what's it called?
Adaptive Physiologies.
I was literally on
Adaptive Physiologies. Strats, and then we'll go into our top 5. Starting off with faction-wide abilities.
They don't have one, but they only get their Hive Fleet adaptation if everyone is a Hive Fleet creature. So it's like if you were to soup in Genestealer Cult, you wouldn't get your Hive Fleet's adaptation. You would just be running around with nothing.
You get the privilege, right, by having, if you have a whole Hive tendril detachment, you can only have one Hive Tyrant. See? There's a buff in it.
That is on the page with like army-wide abilities. Yeah, you can only take one Hive Tyrant per detachment. I now own too many Hive Tyrants, so if anyone wants to buy some Hive Tyrants, Hive Tyrants.
Calm yourself here, right? This is a podcast about a Codex review, not for you to sell your army.
Yeah,
okay?
I know, but if anyone's interested, reach out, put it in the comments. I'll send you a Hive Tyrant.
So Hive Fleets, there's one standout.
Yeah, I think the Hive Fleet Leviathan is sort of still the best one. It was the best before because they'd got the supplement.
Which one was Leviathan again? Like, what's their colour scheme?
It's the ones on the boxes, like the white with the purple carapace.
Okay.
It's the hardest one to paint.
Yours aren't painted like that, are they?
No, mine's Hive Fleet Kraken, which are okay in this.
Which one's Kraken?
The ones that I've got,
the red
and the white.
Oh, the red and the white.
The original poster boys.
Which one's the blue and the red?
That's
like
Behemoth. That was the original poster boys. I can quickly talk about Kraken. This is like it is. They are my boys, but Leviathan is the better one, I would say. Basically, they get army-wide transhuman physiology, like the full version on all the Synapse creatures, and then like a mini version on the little stuff. Everything else.
Oh, that's jealous.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Actually, what
yeah,
am I
like
about?
well, a lot of the Synapse creatures are like toughness 7+ because they're monsters. So a lot of the times it's not really relevant, but stuff like warriors are toughness 5, and a lot of things have like pluses to wound and that kind of thing. It's just always good, really. And then all the little bugs, which are only toughness 3, they can't be wounded on 1s and 2s. Anything strength 6 or anything strength 4 with like a +1 to wound is still only wounding it on 3s.
Oh yeah, that'll be against Blood Angels and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's not the most amazing one on the little bugs, but I think having skimmed the book, I think most people are going to be running bigger things anyway.
I can say after my last game, wounding on 3s instead of 2s is definitely like good for you to do to enemy.
Every Hive Fleet's got like their main ability, which that is Leviathans, but they've also got an adaptive ability, which they're allowed to swap for. There's like 3 tables later in the book that they can swap this part for another part.
Right.
So when they shoot, you can re-roll 1 hit roll.
Or fight. It says or fight as well.
Oh, it does say or fight. It was on the next line. So they can basically re-roll a hit for each unit in the army, which is always good. Like anything that's hitting on 2s or something is probably only going to be missing with 1 anyway. So
you're laughing with like a Carnifex or something like that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Pretty much like Carnifexes seem awesome. Hive Tyrants, because they hit on 2s, so they're only really going to be needing to reroll 1 dice. Also, their Warlord trait is you can reroll a hit roll, a wound roll, a damage roll, etc. So, like technically, their Warlord, if they took that trait, could reroll 2 hit rolls because they could use the Hive Fleet one for one of them, and then the Warlord trait one for another one, which is pretty nice.
Oh yeah, that is nice actually.
Their psychic power messes with the synaptic links. I think you can basically like transmit your synapse to another creature.
Like, I won't lie, the synapse still goes over my head, but
the way it's always worked is if you're in 12 inches of a creature, you're fearless. But now they've added like extra abilities that you can ping around and link up and stuff. Okay, so their psychic power lets you have 2 Synaptic Imperatives up at one time instead of just the one, which is pretty nice.
Oh, okay, that's alright.
Their Relic lets you shoot something arriving from reserves, and then their strat's a little bit unexciting. You just improve your AP by 1.
Can be good against Space Marines now.
Yeah, count as what they've just got.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it can still do it, but in the old book you used to be able to get like Hormagaunts to AP 3. I haven't actually looked to see if you can still do that.
Oh, you have to have
AP 1 by default now.
You have to have 2 units within range of 1 unit, don't you?
Yeah. So if you're like sort of swarming around something or whatever. So I think Leviathan is just the best. Keeping their stuff alive is amazing. If they can still take Crusher Stampede, all their stuff's got invuln saves and -1 damage and transhuman physiology.
What's the deal with Crusher Stampede?
Our whole army has to be like 3 wound plus models. No swarms.
Yep.
You can only take warriors as troops, but that's probably fine. And then all your big bugs get a 5-up invuln save, -1 damage, obsec, and they count as the number of models remaining. The number of wounds remaining as models on the objective. So if you were to run like some 20 wound Forge World monster, it would count as 20 obsec models and be that hard to kill. And then if you throw in this Hive Fleet adaptation on top...
I don't think will it let you do that?
Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think if you are Crush Stampede, you don't get your Hive Fleet adaptation. So I guess you wouldn't get this. Wouldn't get this part. But, you can still, I'm pretty sure, take like Warlord Traits, Relics, that kind of thing.
Are there any other Hive Fleets that are decent?
I think Behemoth's really good as well. They +1 strength when they charge. There's loads of stuff in this book as I was going through it that can get to strength 7 really easily. So for example, warriors are strength 5, and then their bone swords take them to strength 7. Well, this takes them to strength 8. There's Carnifexes with adrenal glands and stuff can get to strength 7. So it just helps push a lot of units. That's it. Warriors actually get to strength 9 if they have adrenal glands. It just helps push a lot of units over sort of important thresholds, you know what I mean? Warriors can get to strength 9 in Behemoth, so they can wound even knights on 3s, which is insane, yeah. They can get +1 to wound as well with a psychic power, so those warriors are now wounding knights on 2s. They've also got a strat to let their models fight 1 death, so before you remove the models, you get to actually swing with them. When you throw in 30 Hormagaunts at something and they're all dying 20 at a time, it's pretty nice to be able to still fight with 20 of them.
Also, there's that stratagem for Indomitable Monstrosity, which means that you don't have to waste a CP on that strat. It's basically the same as your...
It's transhuman. It's transhuman physiology.
Yeah, it's basically transhuman, yeah.
For a monster.
Yeah, but you don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a CP to do that.
Behemoth's the more violent one, and Leviathan's the more survivable one. Kraken's the fast one. They all do a different thing pretty well.
Kraken D3+3 to advance roll.
It's almost a shame that that's not the main one, because that's the one you're allowed to swap. All the sort of swappable ones are fairly minor. Yeah, apart from the Kraken one. But what I mean is the ones you can swap for are all mostly pretty minor stuff.
Yeah.
You can consolidate an extra 3 inches, which is good. There's a pretty fun one where if you fail a charge, you can make a 3-inch move.
I like the exoskeleton reinforcement, the ones you can swap out for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so you can move and advance and shoot and no penalties. Yeah, that combos quite well, but then again, that combos quite well with the ability to advance that far. Each Hive Fleet does a different thing very well, but I think with the way the game works right now, and having tanky stuff being good, or killy stuff being good, I think Leviathan and Behemoth are the 2 big winners.
With Carnifexes already being base are very, very strong.
Yeah, so all the monsters got better, so anything you can do to help keep them staying alive and doing better than they were before is going to be good.
So we'll go over secondary objectives.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything here that's great.
Tyranids already do secondaries quite well. Obviously with Engage, you can take loads of big bugs or loads of little bugs and easily engaging. You can easily bring units that can auto-rod, you can raise banners and then just not be shifted off an objective. And all these are okay. The Synaptic Insight's the one they gave them with the chapter approved update, and it's super weird and confusing and not very good, and you only score points if you're killing 4 wound models, and even then not many points. So basically Synapse creatures, when they kill stuff, if it had 3 or more wounds, you get a kill point, but you only get kill points if you kill 4 if you get 4 or more of those things. So you need to kill 4 3-wound models. How many 3-wound, unless it's Custodes or guard tank spam, how many 3-wound models are they going to have in a turn? And then how many of them are you likely to kill? It's such a weird objective. But if you can reliably kill 4 3-wound models in a battle round with a Synapse creature, then yeah, you'll probably score 15 points. But oh wait, you can't because you can only score 12 points for it for some reason.
Yeah, because they're like, whoa, this is so good, we made this really good.
Weird.
So let's come on to Warlord traits. Are there any standouts, or are there any standouts in the Hive?
I really like Alien Cunning. Now it basically gives you Warlord Obsec and counts as 5 models. They can also fall back and do actions, which I guess if we were doing psychic actions and stuff is quite good.
Can monsters do actions?
Well, that's it. That's what I mean. If you're doing psychic actions, it's quite good because you can.
Okay, yeah.
Because you can't fall back and do psychic powers. Can you fall back and do psychic actions, or does that overrule it and say you can? But that's really good. There's a pretty decent combo. You could put that on the Parasite of Mortrex, the new model, because his Stinger tail switches off Obsec. Or there's also a relic you can give someone that when they hit switches off Obsec. So you can give your Warlord Obsec, charge him into something that is Obsec, and just turn theirs off, and then that objective's just yours.
There was one I saw before. Where is it? It might have been the second one, giving reroll hit rolls to the Warlord.
Oh,
yeah, always fights first. Yeah, the heightened senses. I don't know why I didn't look at the title of it. Yeah, that'd be good, for something that's really good in melee.
Yeah, and there's a lot of potential Warlords that are good in melee.
So you'd give it to something that's durable, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The Kraken one's quite nice. Every time your opponent uses the stratagem on a 5-up game.
Yeah, I like ones like that. Ones like that are really good when you can take 2 Warlord traits, which Tyranids can. They've got a strat for it. Because you're paying a command point to take it, but then over the course of the game, you're more than likely breaking even.
Hydra one regenerates wounds. Which
Yeah.
I always like shit like that.
Yeah. That's mostly we've said with the Leviathan one, that one is quite good. It just makes your stuff more consistent, especially when it's hitting on 2s and already has a reroll available.
I'm not impressed with this Warlord trait though for your Mungande. Because it says until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, the target does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. It also has to be within synaptic link range of the Warlord, but I thought they'd been clamping down on saying the target does not receive the benefits of cover. I thought they'd been clamping down on that.
Yeah, I think they've said it's it only refers to light cover.
Yeah.
That's Warlord traits.
Okay, let's come on to relics then.
Scott, what's your favourite relic?
Reaper of Obliterax?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Is that the Bone Sword replacement?
It is. Yeah.
If that attack successfully wounds the target suffers one mortal wound in addition to any other damage. What?
Keep reading, Ben.
Each time an attack mirror is allocated to an enemy model, that model cannot use any rules to ignore the wounds it loses.
Yeah, we Catan shards now.
You could give it that Warlord trait as well, where 6s do mortal wounds. So he's doing 2 mortal wounds in addition to whatever else it does. And I'm guessing bone swords. I'm guessing. Shut up, you. I'm guessing bone swords and monstrous bone swords have ridiculous AP.
I think they're AP 4 now, or is that just the Swarm Lords one? Yeah, the monstrous ones are AP 4. Strength +3, AP 4, damage 3.
Goodness me, though, adrenal glands, the passenger one.
Yeah.
Add 2 to advanced rolls. It doesn't say it replaces adrenal glands either.
It does. You need adrenal glands on the model. It doesn't replace it, but adrenal glands gives you a keyword now.
Oh, does it not do anything?
It gives you +1 to advance and +1 to move and +1 to your strength.
So doesn't this mean then it keeps its +1 to move, and then you add 2 to advance rolls, and then add 2? And is there anything that can let you advance in charge?
I believe Onslaught still does. I don't think they changed that to psychic power. Yeah.
So
if you cast Onslaught, you can advance and charge.
Yeah, because it doesn't say it replaces the adrenal gland buff or anything. So that means you're pretty much getting add 3 to advance roll.
Mm-hmm. You can put that on a Hive Tyrant because they can take adrenal glands.
Oh my god!
And a flying Hive Tyrant with adrenal glands moves 17 inches.
There are 2 options here to kind of make quite a shooty Hive Tyrant as well, because obviously the heavy venom cannon is very good now.
Yeah.
You can give Pathogenesis, which is at 8 inches to the range. That would make it 42, I think. 36 standard. And each time the barrel shoots, you can reroll 1 hit roll, and you can reroll 1 wound roll.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. And then there's also the Shard Gullet, which makes it a damage 5 weapon.
Yeah.
Assault 3, strength 12, -5 AP, damage 5.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
the heavy
insane.
venom cannons are so good. got 2 options there to make quite a shooty Hive Tyrant.
Yeah. Also, rules as written at the moment, but this will be FAQ'd. Hive Tyrants can take 2 heavy venom cannons, so you could replace one with this and still have a normal one. But like that will be FAQ'd in the FAQ.
Yeah.
So don't glue Hive Tyrants with 2 heavy venom cannons. But until the FAQ it, go nuts. I quite like the Dirge Heart of Karis is the one we talked about before, where it lets them switch off Obsec, which obviously pairs quite nicely with the Warlord trait to give them Obsec. And then I really like the Maw Claws of Thyrax. +1 attack and reroll wounds, but then also every time you destroy something you get an extra attack to a max of 3. I think I worked it out. Flying Hive Tyrant in Leviathan with the Leviathan trait and this is getting, I think it's 7 attacks with the Scything Talons, then 2 more with the Tyrant Talons, re-rolling 2 of its hit rolls potentially, and re-rolling all of its wounds.
The Scythes of Tyron, extra 2 attacks, makes it damage 3. Yeah, you got a lot of good options actually. Like I'm not really seeing any that.
Chuck Gestation Sack on, I don't know, a Tervigon or the Reaper of, or the Parasite of Mortex, and you've got like free spawns all over the place. You know, like I don't think there's any of these that are like bad. You know,
Psychic.
There's only one new psychic power. I can't remember what the other one was. I think it was Psychic Shriek is the one they replaced, which is very similar to Psychic Scream, which has stayed, like in name wise.
The new one is Neuroparasite.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. You roll a d6 for each model in a unit, and for each one you roll over their toughness, they take a mortal to a maximum of 6. But if they're like 10 toughness 3 models in a unit, pretty much just deleting like half of them. It's 50-50 in toughness 3. The other powers have all pretty much kept their names, but like some of them have been changed slightly. So like Catalyst used to just give your unit a 5-up feel no pain, and now it still does that, but it lets like Titanic creatures only get a 6-up feel no pain. There's no Titanic units in this book, as far as I'm aware, so that's like just for the Forge Worldy, you know, the Bio Titans and stuff.
I like the horror. I always like leadership stuff like that, but they never seem to come in handy because really you tend to focus fire on what you want to do on.
Yeah. The horror used to be quite good as well because it used to be -1 to hit and -1 leadership, so they've changed that. Over your army, you probably want to take every power. You've got loads of Psychers, and they have a stratagem that lets one of your Psychers know every power that models in your army know.
What's good as well is all of them say within synaptic link range, apart from maybe the last one. Can't see it saying it on there.
That's because that targets an enemy unit.
Yeah. Well, so does
the
horror as well.
Yeah, it's true.
So the last one...
synaptic link range is 6-inch range from a synapse creature who's in 6-inch range of the thing that's doing this.
Because the horror's 24-inch range. How can 2 6 inches reach more than a 24? Oh, does it stack with multiple? Like, could you change?
You chain. Okay. So if you look, there is a diagram that shows it. So
I've read this codex. Don't worry.
If you look at the diagram, the sort of orangey circles, all those ones are linked up in a synaptic link chain because they're all within 6 inches of each other. So synaptic link is within 6 inches of any of them.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at the Tervigon and the green circle,
the diagram shows 12 inches. Oh no, it shows 6 inches. Oh, yeah, it does.
It's a 12. Oh, wait, it does as well. Actually, you're right. Oh, synaptic link range is
For a second there, I was like, wait a minute, 6 inches on both sides is 12 inches. But then I realised, no, it's pointing from the middle to the edge.
Hang on, I've had it backwards. Okay, so synaptic link range is 12 inches, synapse range is 6 inches. So you're only fearless within 6 inches.
Okay.
Synaptic link is 12 inches.
Goodness me, I thought you read this codex.
We'll pull the diagram up.
Okay, that's my bad. I got it backwards because the old synapse was you were fearless within 12. So now it's you're fearless within 6, but you get this within 12. I thought it was the other way around.
I won't lie, I thought for a second there was like an error with the one I'm reading. It just shows you the diagram and then just goes, Hormagaunts! And then in this example, the Hive but I didn't see the dot. Just saw Hormagaunts. Like it was like, you know, the end of a paragraph or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you see the diagram in the top right where the Tervigon is more than outside of so it's not getting that you can't transmit synaptic link through the Tervigon.
Yeah, to his precious.
It's too far away.
What kind of person has Hormagaunts near a Tervigon?
A fool, because
shouldn't it be Termagaunts?
Yeah, because they bodyguard it now.
Yeah, so who would put Hormagaunts near a Tervigon?
Who knows, mate? Who knows? Tyranid's got around the nerf to bodyguard in a way. Not exactly, but in a way. The way bodyguard works now, units that have the bodyguard rule, instead of like you can't target characters, it basically they get lookout sir even if there's less than 3 models in the unit, the bodyguard unit. Like you could have like one Death Shroud Terminator bodyguarding, like, you know, lookout siring for someone, but they have to apply all other rules for lookout sir. They can't just stand behind a wall. But Tyranid's sort of still benefit because Tyrant Guard, bodyguard for Hive Tyrants,
Yeah.
but now obviously they just look out Sir for Hive Tyrants, but that's still good because Hive Tyrants have 12 wounds, so otherwise wouldn't be eligible for bodyguarding.
Yeah.
And also Termagants do the same thing for Tervigons, so who again they have 17 wounds, so they also wouldn't normally be lookout Sirable. Like with all the unit upgrades, you used to pay command points for them, and now you pay points.
Yeah.
But also, Tyranids used to have to give up their Warlord trait to take one of these, and now they don't. They can still have the Warlord trait, but you can't put it on a character, so you can't have like a Warlord trait and this. The way it used to work was you got one for free if you had no Warlord trait on your Warlord. You didn't have to put it on your Warlord just didn't get a trait.
Oh, okay.
Which was fine, because all the Tyranid Warlord traits used to be bad. And then you could spend a command point to get a second one. Now it just looks like you can just put them on as many units as you've got spare points. You used to be able to have the same one twice, which is there used to be give a model a 5-up invuln save and it counts as double wounds. So I used to put that on both of my Exocrine.
It's alright, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. They've got rid of that one, or they've sort of split it in half and improved it in both ways. If that makes sense.
Right off the bat, hardened biology. I would not give that a Carnifex because it's wasted them plus the extra damage that you.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, no, sorry, I misread it. I completely misread that. Each time an attack made with a damage characteristic of 1, you add 1 to your saving throw. It's still pointless on a Carnifex. Well, actually,
I mean, they've got a 2-up save now.
Wait a minute, you would change damage 2 to damage 1 then, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then you add.
They already do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like then you because it's a damage 1, you add 1 to your saving throw against it.
Yes.
So that means like damage 2 and damage 1 weapons, you get +1 to your armor save on a Carnifex.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Dermix Symbiosis or +1.
That was what the old one was called, the one that gave the invuln and double wounds.
Right.
So they've like I said, they've split the invuln and the double wounds into 2 different ones, but improved them because now it's a 4-up.
Yes.
And the count as double wounds one, you'll get to use a stratagem for free on them once per game, which is cool.
Synaptic enhancement, 10 point, makes them synapses.
Depending on what monsters you've got and how many synapse creatures you've got, that's probably an auto take. It obviously depends how much synapse you've got, but like it just helps fill a hole. Any of the like deep strikey bugs, anything slapping that on it, like you can have a harpy flying around this bubble of synapse to your stuff on the back lines and stuff. I quite like the idea of putting whip coil reflexes on a Toxicrene.
Yeah.
Because the Toxicrene's got like a 50-50 chance to prevent a unit from falling back.
Yeah.
But like this is when they're selected to fall back on a 2-up, they take D3 mortal wounds, so you could make them take mortal wounds and also then successfully fall back.
Plus there's always that strat in there where like if they fall back kind of like hurt loads.
Yeah, that's like you roll per model you've got touching it.
Oh, okay.
So like that's quite good with loads of Hormagaunts and stuff, but not with like a single model.
Also, what about
I think it would be quite funny to be like
what like
the ammunition one. Oh, so after you hit a unit, they on a 2-up, they take D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah, you only have to hit as well.
And it's also quite good, like if you've not quite killed something, when you shoot something and then you leave it on 1 wound and you're like,
Like, have you got like auto hitting weapons at all?
Yeah, there's a couple. Biovores have always been good, but are now bad. Pyrovores have always been terrible. And then every book that comes out, everyone's like, "Ooh, Pyrovores look like they might be quite good now," and then they're always terrible still.
But people like bought the other model just to proxy as the other.
Yeah, because they're both old and they both look shit.
But one looks slightly better than the other.
The Pyrovore's just got like a big veiny dick on his back that shoots fire.
Precognitive sensoria. It gives it fight first. If you had that with that warlord trait on another unit, you've got 2 units that fight first. That can like really like mess up your opponent.
Oh baby, yeah. Look at like Slanesh demons. Any army that's got loads of fight first is a nuisance to charge into.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you put this on like a Screamer Killer, which has 12 attacks or something insane.
So we just got strats, and then we'll talk about top 5.
What about the Synaptic Imperatives, Scott?
Yeah, do you want to explain that? Because I'm still not 100% on it.
So they were in whatever the supplement that came out that I didn't buy was called, but now they're in the Codex. Each Synapse creature has a Synaptic Imperative ability, and each different Synapse creature's got a different one. So just for example, a Tervigon can select a unit and add 2 to its move or advance distance.
Oh my god, that comboed with the relic.
Yeah. Sort of one of the good things about a lot of these is that they are Synapse creatures are generally characters. Not all of them are, like warriors aren't, but
Yeah.
a lot of them are, so a lot of them can take relics and warlord traits that combo quite nicely. But you can only have it on for a turn. I think if you have more than one... Oh, this is their army-wide ability. I missed that part because it wasn't on the page of the others. Okay, this is what they get if every unit in the army is a Tyranid. This is what they get. But like, you can only have it on for a turn, but I believe if you've got more than one of the same unit, you could turn it on for each separate one. So like if you had 2 Broodlords, you could have Broodlord 1's turn 1, Broodlord 2's turn 2, if you really wanted to. So some of them are really good. Like I really like the Zoanthrope one. Monsters that are in the Synaptic Link range have a 4-up invuln save, and everything else is a 5-up. And you pick which one is active at the start of the battle round. So if you're going second, and you find out you're going second, you can turn that on, so you've got a 4-up invuln save on your monsters for turn 1. Just really blunts any like sort of alpha strikey high shooting output that might be coming at you early in the game. Keeps your stuff fighting into turn 2. The Trigon Prime is my favourite one because it's hilarious. When you do your death throws, which is Tyranid's version of exploding, you add 3 to the roll, so they explode on a 3+ instead of a 6.
Nice.
And also anything that doesn't have death throws explodes on a 6. So
Right, okay.
gaunts.
That with the Warlord trait and the Relic that we were going on about. So, 6
Yeah.
is to wound, and that weapon that like just does mortal wounds when it hit wounds.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of throwing like 30 Hormagaunts with Toxin Sacs at stuff. Because on a 6 to wound with Toxin Sacs, you auto wound, so you don't have to roll to wound.
Yeah.
And then when they then die on the backswing, you just burst them all and kill them.
Nice.
And that could be funny because the Trigon Prime can deep strike them in as well.
See,
So like,
I've just caught up now with the bloody Synaptic Imperative. I didn't realise. I thought it was literally just like anything within range of the Tervigon. Well, no, it's until the end of the battle that Synaptic Imperative is active for your army, and it's gained by each of the Synapse models from your army. No, so like
no, you're right. Yeah.
So all the Synapse creatures suddenly like get that Tervigon thing to like give out to everyone else.
I thought they had to be in Synaptic Link range to transmit it to them, but it looks like no.
No, they
So
just gain that Synapse thing, and then everyone else nearby.
Oh shit, that's way better than I thought. I thought you were going to have to chain everyone up real close together. It also says they're not affected by anything that affects auras, so any stuff that your opponent might have that switches off auras doesn't switch these off.
Sweet. Also, it turns out as well, once you've used one, you can't use it again for the rest of the battle, basically. You can select one of the Synaptic Imperative abilities from a unit from your army. You cannot select a unit's imperative ability if that unit is not on the battlefield, or if you have selected the ability earlier in the battle.
Okay, so if you had like 2 Hive Tyrants, you couldn't use the Hive Tyrant one twice.
It just means like you've got to be really tactical with what you want to use. I mean, let's face it, you'll probably use the Tervigon one first turn, or second turn.
I have just noticed the Maliceptors one. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but it lets Psykers perform psychic actions without not doing psychic powers.
Oh,
which is quite good.
That's really good.
That's really nice.
Yeah, but it's also quite nice on the Maliceptor who does mortal wounds when he completes psychic actions.
Oh my god. Let's get an army full of Maliceptors. Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about him because he's amazing. But yeah, that's what they do. And there's loads of different ones, like warriors give exploding 6s.
That psychic oversight is actually really good.
Yeah.
Because you could take a psychic secondary and a shadow war secondary.
Yeah, because you can perform an action and shoot. You can perform a psychic action and psychic, and you can perform an action even if you advanced or fell back.
Just do it like as early as you can with as many units as you can, and then you're laughing.
Yeah. Well, like the diagonal mission where there's like 4 markers in no man's land.
Yeah.
And they're always just slightly too. Well, some of them are like just slightly too far to get to turn 1.
Yeah.
If you can advance like a really fast infantry unit, like Hormagaunts or something, onto that objective, you can raise banners on it turn 1 and get like 5 banners up on turn 1.
Yeah. Is there
Like,
any
if
like
you can get to all 4 of the middle.
there's some secondaries where you can perform actions multiple times in a turn, and you could probably max out if you got lucky.
Yeah. I think it's just banners now.
Oh, okay. Right, there's
Or maybe like there might be a couple of there's a couple of missions, like a couple of missions that have an action tied to them.
Yeah. Sorry.
The
Anyway.
Tyranids do have one.
Yeah, they had that psychic.
So
one.
it's like it's just once per. But like I say, like on some missions you can easily get because Hormagaunts move like 10 inches now or something ridiculous, and then I don't know, Hive Fleet Kraken they're advancing D3+3, so at least 4 inches. Yeah, so a Hormagaunt can move 14 inches and then like perform an action with that up.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like I say, get loads of banners down early, rod your opponent's table quarter turn 1.
Shall we move on to strats?
Yeah, let's talk about strats.
Stratagem.
I say the Adaptive Physiology that lets you count as double wounds lets you use one of the Epic Deed stratagems on that unit once per game for free.
Right.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, I
like-
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like some of the Epic Deeds ones are quite good. So, for example, that one that lets your Psyker know all the psychic powers your army knows is an Epic Deed. Like the Horned Chitin one, when you charge in, you do mortal wounds. It's also in this. You can manifest an extra psychic power. So like once per game, you can do that without wasting a command point. So I don't know, you throw that on a Maleceptor, and then you can cast 3 psychic powers every turn for a command point. Or you can cast, on one turn it doesn't cast you a command point, so it's pretty good.
That bounding advance one is so good.
Yes.
What does that do?
Use the stratagem in your movement phase. Hormone Gaunt's unit from your army is selected to advance. It advances the full 6-inch move, and then that unit is still eligible to declare a charge this turn, even though it advanced.
Oh, yeah. So that's moving 16 inches and then charging.
And if you did that imperative thing, where it adds 2 inches to their movement,
Give them Adrenal Glands, they get another 1 to their movement.
jeez. Costs 2
So that's-
CP though if it's 15 plus models, but I mean,
2
Yeah.
command points to have 30 models move 19 inches and then charge something is
charge
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
multiple things.
Yeah. Well, you can you just tie up loads of their stuff. Like against Tau or something, if you just charge 30 gaunts at them really fast, and I know battle suits can shoot in combat now,
Isn't
but
like
they can only shoot the gaunts, and by the time they've cleared the gaunts, it's your turn again, and your monsters are there.
also, don't they have a thing where they don't? Yeah, the models have to be not within an inch of a model that's in an inch of an enemy, but 2.5 inches, isn't it?
Yeah, so like some of them have the Endless Swarm keyword, and anything that's got that can fight within 2.5 inches instead of half. Swarming Masses, that's what it's called.
It's well good that. So you could just spread out and fight quite a few models and keep them in combat. with you.
Yeah, because they're it's the only problem with Tyranids is they're on 25mm bases, but they overhang the front of their base by like an inch.
Loads, yeah.
So you have to like stack them in sideways and stuff. But I think
I think
25mm, you can get like 3 ranks to fight basically.
aren't they actually
Maybe
designed like
4.
to overhang each other so that way it works out?
Yeah, I think so. But then like you have to go into units backwards and stuff,
Yeah.
just so you're not blocking yourself with that. But I think you can get either 3 or 4 ranks in to fight, which is pretty good. Like when you probably got that many models to fight with,
Yeah.
Second one in, I think, is one you probably use all the time. 1 CP, Voracious Appetite, full rerolls in melee for a monster.
Oh yeah, that's
I think that's just a really solid go-to one.
yeah. Well, considering it costs 1 command point to reroll 1 wound roll, why not spend 1
Yeah.
command point to reroll all your wound rolls?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Which one was the one that improved movement? Was it Adrenal Glands?
+1 move, +1 strength.
There's a strat here for fight phase. So after they've moved that far and charged, you can add 1 to the attacks characteristics of models in that unit. 2 CP though if it's 20 plus models. That's a lot of attacks.
Yeah, Trigon and Trigon Prime used to work kind of like a transport. You could put a unit in them to deep strike. Now it costs you a command point, but they can still do that.
Yeah.
So you put the unit in reserves, which does cost you a command point to do. But then for another command point, you can like deep strike basically anything in the book.
Don't forget as well there was that pheromone trail, which is that lictor one I like.
Yeah.
If it's within 6 inches of an enemy unit, you add 2 to the charge roll.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's like so much like to help buff your army to like get in combat with.
If you've got flesh hooks, you can get +1 to hit.
Doesn't the parasite of Mortar like move pretty far as well?
16 inches, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Trampling charge is good. It was that strat you told me about. If you've got Horned Chitin.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do
I
like
don't read the name.
they do 3 mortal wounds on a 2 to 4, and on a 5+ they do D3 plus 3 mortal wounds after they've charged. You're laughing with that. Jeez.
Especially since like stuff that's got that is like Hive Tyrants, Carnifexes. I think the Maleceptor's got it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mortal wounds in this book. Like a lot of mortal wounds.
Right. Have your Hormagaunts do that advancing moving. How far? What's their basic move then? Like if
10
they-
inches.
10 inches.
11 if they have adrenal glands.
11. Right. Okay. So you do that. Have them spread out, and then and if let's say they kill the unit, you could use the overrun stratagem. Use this stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select 1 Hive Tendril unit from your army that made a charge move this turn. If there are no enemy models within engagement range of that unit, models in that unit can make a normal move instead of making a consolidation move.
Oh, it's so good, that strat. I didn't realise that was still in here.
It doesn't make sense to me though. It says that use it at the end of the fight phase. I thought you consolidate after you've done your attack.
So if they kill whatever they charged, they can move. So it's really good on the Dimachairon, the Forge World model.
Yeah.
Because that gets in, that just blends whatever it got in combat with, and then instead of leaving it stuck in your opponent's lines, you can get it back again.
But I mean, the way it's worded, I thought it goes you attack. It goes you pile in, attack, consolidate, right? Then another unit. Right. This one says use this stratagem at the end of the fight phase. So that's a bit of a typo in it, really, because that wouldn't technically be usable.
Yeah, good point. That's a good spot, Ben. Because they would have already consolidated by the end of the fight phase.
Yeah.
Because the fight phase would be over, so you'd have resolved all your fights.
But obviously that would get fixed.
Yeah, like rules as intended, it's obviously designed to... Because the way it used to work was, I think you used it after they fought and they got to move.
Yeah.
So, but not at the end of the fight phase. Like, it was when this unit would consolidate. They'll probably just change it to be that.
Yeah, because it's obviously unusable.
Yeah. Unless, I guess, you fought with that unit very last or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because then it would consolidate at the end of the fight phase. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's worded wrong.
Yeah.
Unless I put my tinfoil hat on.
Unless Hormagaunts have something.
In 10th edition, everyone consolidates at the end of the fight phase. And they're pre-writing rules for 10th edition. Tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat. Shard Lure. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a ranged attack made by a model in a Hive Fleet Synapse unit from your army scores a hit against an enemy unit. Until the end of the turn, each time a friendly Hive Fleet unit declares a charge, if that enemy unit is one of the targets of the charge, roll one additional d6 and discard one of the dice when making the charge.
Oh, that's nice.
You're going to have a Synapse within range of the Hormagaunts because they're going to give them that 2-inch movement from the Turvigon.
Or your Hive Fleet Behemoth Screamer Killer Carnifexes have rerolls charge anyway.
Yeah, so like you would just shoot in support of. Plus, it can be itself as well. It helps itself with the roll. Yeah, so my god, that's a real There's a lot that help you with charging. I've noticed.
Yeah. Tyranids are going to get into combat a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so top 5. Before we get into it, Ali, you've got 2 honourable mentions.
Ones that you like.
I will say me and Ben, we just left this up to Ali, so this is Ali's top 5.
I mean,
so
we left it to
if he
the
gets this
noob.
completely wrong, I'd just like everyone to know that.
Scott, nobody on this YouTube channel has ever gotten a top 5 unit wrong. It's just never happened. Right, Ben?
Does it have?
Stealth suits in this.
Or where are the Wind Riders? The Wind Riders in this list.
So at number 5, it's Tauth Stealth Suits. Oh, wait. Wrong review. No, so I just want to quickly shout out Morlocks, because I like Morlocks, and they've changed how they work now, because they used to be able to deep strike deep strike an inch away and do mortal wounds, but then just sort of sit there and get shot.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
125 points as well.
Yeah, so it's 125 points, so you can even bring 3 of them, and it's like not even a quarter of your army. In your command phase, if you've got any of them underground, select a point on the battlefield and place a marker there. If you do, that model can't be set up this turn, and at the start of the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, you roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of that marker, adding 1 if there's between 6 and 10, and adding 2 if there's 11 or more, and it just does mortal wounds to them. And then it arrives. It can't, if it ends up within 9 inches of any enemy models, it can't charge, but it's fine, because 14 wounds, and when it does get to fight, it's got 16 attacks. They're only AP 1, damage 1, but 16 is a lot of attacks. This thing will just blend infantry and sort of really disincentivize your opponent from maybe moving on to objectives and stuff like that. Yeah, let's say you take 3 of them and there's 3 objectives in no man's land, like 1 in each table core and 1 in the center. You could just pick each objective and say, if you're on any of those objectives in my next turn, your units are dying. And your opponent goes, oh, I don't really want to go on the objectives then. And I also just want to shout out the Harpy, because it's really cheap. It's 160 points, which is, for what it does, incredibly cheap. It can charge planes, which is cool. It flies around with 2 heavy venom cannons. It's dropping spore mines around the place. It's hard to hit.
What spore mines do?
Okay, they do still basically do the same thing. If each time a model in this unit ends a move within 3 inches of any enemy models, that unit suffers mortal wounds. Basically, they explode if they get close to your enemy.
Nice.
So again, kind of like the Morlock, it's like the same kind of vein of things. It can drop stuff that area denies parts of the board. It's got scary guns. It's got decent melee that can rip planes apart. And it's only 160 points, and it's probably quite easily killing that much is worth of stuff a turn if it's ignored.
You could give the Harpy the 4+ invulnerable as well.
Yes, yeah.
Dermic Symbiote.
And then it's just really hard to kill. Okay, top 5 units. 100% accurate every off the time.
We never get it wrong. What is your number 5?
Screamer Killers.
What's Screamer Killers?
Ooh.
What is Screamer Killers?
They're the Carnifexes with 2 thing talons, or is it
Yeah.
monstrous? I think.
It's got 2 sets of. It's got Screamer Killer talons. They're called now. They do,
Ah.
you know that thing they do where they like give different units different
Oh,
different
they are
weapons
cool.
different names.
Right.
That's all right, Ben. I will read it to you. So it moves 10 inches. These tasty little boys are 115 points, but they're actually 125 points because you are every time taking adrenal glands on them. So with adrenal glands, they're moving 10 inches. On the charge in Hive Fleet Behemoth, these things get 12 attacks at strength 8, AP 3, damage 3, which is like
125. Did you?
125 points, yeah. You can legally take 9 of these because you can bring a unit of 3. They all go their own way after, like once you set them up. But you could bring 9 of them, which is just a little over 1,000 points. So it's about half your army in Screamer Killers, but like nothing is gonna survive against that kind of output. Like if you're going into something that is toughness 8 or higher, you can use that strat to reroll wounds.
Yeah.
Well, it also, my God! Also, when it kills models, it subtracts 1 from leadership, up to a maximum of -4.
It's also got a D6 blast weapon that's strength 8, AP 4. They're core. They're -1 damage. They are
2+ save.
2 up save, yeah. Toughness 7.
Also explodes.
Like they're so good. And this is number 5. This is number 5. Like it only gets better.
So
from
cheap. So cheap for what it does.
Yeah, it's really cheap, surprisingly durable, and just insane damage output, especially in Hive Fleet Behemoth. But for a more utility pick at number 4, I would like to talk about the Death Leaper.
Oh, this is the stealth suit.
Yes, this is the named character Lictor. He's 95 points. He's a much stronger Lictor, but he is also like a named character. We've got 3.
Right.
There's Old One Eye, Swarmlord, and Death Leaper. We had 4,
Right.
but we should say that the Red Terror is gone. It's not in the book.
You can't really post that model in a book anymore. It looks so out of place.
Yeah. So here's the Death Leaper's crazy abilities.
Oh my God!
Each time you make an attack against it, subtract 1 from the hit roll. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
If it's more than 12 inches away, you can't target it. If it's in cover, like if it's in a piece of terrain. It's got a 4+ invulnerable save. It's got 7 wounds. Always fights first. Enemy units can't perform actions within 6 inches of it. Your opponent can't use stratagems on units in melee with it, and it can deep strike within 6 inches if it's in your deployment zone.
Good counter.
It's got 7 attacks, AP 3, damage 2. It's got flesh hooks, which means it ignores vertical distance when it's moving.
Here's a thing for you as well, for that fear of the unseen. It says it can't be affected by stratagems used by your opponent when that unit is selected to shoot or fight. So they're affected by stratagems. So like stratagems that like give auras and stuff like that.
You know, your opponent can't get like any strats on the units it's fighting or on it.
Yeah.
So like anything where it's like make your enemy's unit
like
fight last
like
or whatever. I don't
like
know.
an indirect buff as well from a stratagem.
Yeah, I think it's really good. It's only 95 points. It will probably die in every game, but if you can, like, it's going to be so disruptive that I think for less than 100 points, it's really good. Also, because it has the Lictor keyword, it can do that pheromone trail that we talked about. His like default Warlord trait as well is the one where he gets obsec. You know.
Okay.
You know, like when a named character gets a Warlord trait. So he can also be obsec if you make him your Warlord. So the Lictor's 70 points. It's like 25 points more than a Lictor, but like if you look at the data sheet and just the number of words on it, I think it's really, really good. And it's just disruptive. Like if your opponent's game plan is going to revolve around infantry, go into objectives, doing actions, and hiding in buildings, well, this thing will jump out of buildings and kill them and stop them doing those actions and make their actions fail.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really good.
Really good to counter with if your opponent has taken something where they have to perform actions in your deployment zone. It's really good to just hold back and just wait until they make a move on that. Something, and then you just drop him 6 inches. Really strong.
At number 3, I taught warriors because you can't just have it all be like single models. We should have an infantry unit in here. So warriors have had a big glow up. They were already really good because they were synapse creatures. They had a really good synaptic link in the supplement. I think theirs was the +1 to hit for a unit 1, or it was the reroll. They had a really good one. We'll leave it at that. But they have gone from strength 4, toughness 4 to strength 5, toughness 5.
Nice.
They're not that expensive. I think they're 25 points a model.
Are they monsters? No.
No, they're infantry.
No.
Yeah, they are. They're 25 points a model without any upgrades.
They won't get that transhuman.
Got Corky and Herd and all.
No, but They are synapse creatures, so they would.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that applies to synapse creatures. So they have.
Oh yes, it's not monsters, is it?
Yeah, it's
Synapse
synapse creatures. So in Hive Fleet
Oh,
Leviathan,
shit.
these things have transhuman physiology.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, if you give them bone swords and adrenal glands, they're strength 8, because it's +1 for the adrenal glands, +2 for the bone swords. If you're Behemoth, you don't get the transhuman, but they become strength 9 with that pairing. They've got 3 attacks each, but if they have bone swords, it's 4 attacks each. You can run them in units of 9. At that point, you're investing quite a lot of points into this unit that is fairly fragile. But like, you can give them a invuln from a Zoanthrope's imperative and stuff. They're pretty durable. They've got synapse, so they can like. And if you're running 9 of them, you can make a fairly big chain to help your synaptic auras and whatever chain across the battlefield.
How many points is dual bone sword on?
15, I think. So it'd make them 40 points a model.
Right.
Nope, bone swords are free.
Oh.
The only weapons you pay for on them is the venom cannon or the barbed strangler. In fact, they come with bone sword. They come with a bone sword and a lash whip, but you can replace the lash whip with another bone sword.
Just keep them super cheap.
Yeah, I think so. I think
have them in Leviathan, and
I think that's what you do. I think you run probably just a bone sword and a lash whip, because the lash whip lets you re-roll 1s to hit.
Yeah.
Or you take double swords. I think you give them venom cannon, because 1 in 3 can take a venom cannon, which is just like a really nice ranged threat. Makes the squad a bit more multi-purpose, because there's a lot of infantry, like fighty models and stuff in the army. So I think having a bit of ranged punch is going to be a nice change. And they fill your troop slots, I think, better than the others, because Hormagaunts are like 9 points a model now. So this thing's only twice what a Hormagaunt costs. Which is a shame, because I really like the little bugs, but I think they've made these so much better than them because of the points. I think those Hormagaunts and Termagants are probably a bit overcosted. But those things can be adjusted. I think if that got changed, then they'd probably be way better. Very fighty, quite hard to kill, and also synapse creatures. Their Synaptic Link, that's the one. There's gives units exploding 6s to hit in melee. Oh, and if you take them, you can take a Tyranid Prime without taking up an HQ slot. Which is fine. I don't know if you need to do that though. Cause,
what the primes like?
I don't think so. It's just like a character one. They can give a unit reroll wounds of 1, and they're not very expensive. I think they're the cheapest HQ. Historically, they've been the cheapest HQ, so I assume that's the same. But like,
yeah, they'll look strong. Ideally, keep them cheap. And...
keep them cheap and probably just take more of them.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Hive Tyrant. Just umbrella, because there's 3 different Hive Tyrants, but you can only really take like 1 or 2 or 3. You can take 1 per detachment now.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're all good.
What are the 3 versions?
So
a flying one, normal one, and
the Swarm Lord. Yeah.
But for the winged one, the thing was the Devourer and Brainly. I don't see it here.
You can't take it anymore. It's not in the box.
That's just gone.
Yeah. Everyone who's glued their Hive Tyrants together is snapping arms off at the moment.
Why have they done that?
Because it's not in the box. Although weirdly,
oh yeah, it
they
doesn't
did
actually have a
for a
arm
long
it,
time sell resin arms with dual Devourers on Forge World. Because one of the things with the model is on the Hive Tyrant model, it's got 2 arm slots and then its legs. Because all Tyranids have 6 limbs.
Yeah.
The flying Hive Tyrant, its wings take up one of its arm slots. So like it's the same torso you'd use for like a walking Hive Tyrant, where you'd normally put a second set of weapons.
Yeah.
So it's only really got one pair of arm sockets to put a weapon in, and that's now factored in on the datasheet because its feet have claws on them, and those are now Tyrant Talons, which is like a weapon it's forced to take. So its war gear is more limited than it was before, but I think it's still powerful enough that that's fine. Because like you used to give it a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, now you're probably just giving it one or the other.
So how would you run a winged one then now? Would you go for the heavy venom cannon? Yeah,
I think there's 2 ways. You either give it the heavy venom cannon and just make it like a really mobile shooting platform that's hard to put down, or you give it like the scything talons and just throw it at your opponent and watch them struggle to kill it while it blends their entire front line.
Yeah.
I think you probably take a unit of Tyrant Guard, because if you end up going second, that can keep it alive, stop them getting targeted, and then it can fly over them and go do its thing. Like I say, because they've got 12 wounds, so they can be hidden by obscuring terrain and stuff. Can get them in pretty easily, and you can give it relics and warlord traits to make it fightier. Like I said, there's the combo with the Maw Claws, where it's re-rolling its wounds and stuff, and it gets up to 7 attacks with that. So 7 attacks, strength 7, AP 3, damage 2, re-rolling wounds, and gaining attacks every time it kills stuff. I think that's how I'd like to run one. I don't know how amazing it would be, but sounds pretty good. With the Walking Tyrant, definitely give that the Venom Cannon, because you can give that 2 weapons choices. So you definitely give that the Venom Cannon, and then you probably just give it Scything Talons for its other arms.
Plus it's skill 2, isn't he?
Yeah.
You can give him the the relic venom cannon that's damage 5.
Damage 5, yeah. Like I say, legally at the moment, you can take 2 venom cannons, but that will be FAQ'd. Because it says its Bone Sword and Lash Whip can be replaced with a venom cannon, and its 2 monstrous scything talons can be replaced with a venom cannon. It can't take a Stranglethorn cannon and a venom cannon, but it doesn't say it can't take 2 of the same. They've all got 4 Pinvon saves. The Swarmlord's got an ability in melee where the first time he fails a saving throw, you change the damage to 0.
So good that.
They can all pick a unit and give them rerolls of 1 to hit. But the Swarmlord can pick a unit and give it reroll hits. Kind of like a Chapter Master thing the Swarmlord's got.
Strength 9.
And the Swarmlord can give one of your core units OBSEC. Like, your troops are obviously core, so they already have it, but like Tyrant Guard have core, Carnifexes have core, Zone Thropes have core. Like, there's a lot of pretty good stuff that gets core. Gene Stealers have core, because obviously they've moved to elites now. I think the Swarmlord, he doesn't have his double move ability anymore. He used to be able to pick a unit in the shooting phase and let them move again.
Yeah.
Doesn't have that anymore, but he gives a unit OBSEC instead now, which is, still a powerful ability.
Yeah, he also explodes.
Yeah, all the big monsters explode, man.
Nice.
Also, the Swarmlord's weapon is no longer D6 damage, it's now just flat 3 damage.
Yeah, that's better.
And it's strength 9, AP 4, with 9 attacks, yeah.
If you were going for a walk-in Hive Tyrant, do you reckon just go for the Swarmlord, or do you reckon it is worth having that?
I think if you've got
heavy venom cannon.
I think if you've got the points, probably go for the Swarmlord. But like, if you're trying
How much more is the Swarmlord?
The Swarmlord costs 220 points.
Jeez.
And a walking Hive Tyrant is 160 points, or 175 with the Venom Cannon.
Oh right, so he's actually quite a lot cheaper.
Like, if you've got like 45 points sitting around, yeah, get a Swarmlord, but I think 220 might be a bit much for him, considering how much...
The heavy venom cannon is just so good.
Yeah.
He's not got much help to get him into melee, has he?
But Ben,
Yeah.
you're forgetting Tyrant Guard. Tyrant Guard, give him look out, sir. He can't be targeted until the Tyrant Guard are dead.
Okay.
That's that's not easy to do. Finally, they have a 2-up save.
Yeah.
It's bothered me for like the entire time I've played 40k and they've existed that these things are walking shields made of armor and they've had a 3-up save.
Yeah, that was always dumb.
Yeah, they now do have a 2-up save. They're toughness 6 with 4 wounds each, and you can bring them in your unit of 3 to 6, so it's like 12 toughness 6 wounds.
I do like the models with like melee weapons.
Yeah, they don't take up a detachment if you've got a Hive Tyrant. A detachment slot if you've got a Hive Tyrant.
Do you think it's essential to take the guard if you are taking a Hive Tyrant?
I think, I would say it probably is.
Especially a walking one.
Yeah, especially. Oh, definitely if you've got a walking one. If you've got a flying one, probably, because like they're not they're all right in melee as well. So like even if they lose the Tyrant, they're okay. They still can do stuff.
I do think the Tyrant Guard might be, in my opinion, the best looking models. To be honest.
Yeah.
I really like those models. It's good. It's good that they are actually, they live up to the name and do that people save.
I think I'll probably start using them because I really like the Swarmlord.
Number 1.
I've gone with the Maleceptor, the big brain on legs, because I think I worked it out.
Dirty combo.
In like its sort of absolute, like if you rolled all the best, like if you're rolling like 11 plus for your smites and all high rolls, it can do up to 24 mortal wounds. But even with some fairly average rolling, you're doing double-digit mortal wounds every time. So it can cast 2 powers. And then obviously there's the stratagem to let it cast a 3rd power. You can give it Smite, obviously, you give it Psychic Scream, and you give it the Neuroparasite, so all the mortal wound spells. Every time you roll an 8+ for your Psychic test, it does 3 additional mortal wounds to the nearest unit. And if you put it near the Neurothrope, Psyker, that lets it take its tests on 3d6, discarding the lowest, get to that 8+ on your Psychic test. So it can do potential 24, but sort of on an average roll about
realistically
12 to 15.
It will do about 10, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely insane. And it's not even that expensive, is it?
No, it's like 120 points, something like that. Like that.
That's ridiculous.
It was 170 points. Okay, I don't know what I was looking at. 170 points, but still, like 3 of them is like just a little over 500 points. Like that's a lot of other Tyranids you can still bring and get 30 to 40 mortal wound output between the. Well, I guess
that's mad.
And like they've got a 4-up Invon save, 15 wounds, toughness 8. They can perform a psychic action that reduces strength from enemy units within 6 inches,
right,
making it even harder to kill them in melee. They're actually all right in melee themselves. They don't have many attacks.
So that psychic action, you can use that. What was that? Was there a strat to use it?
It's their psychic link. They can perform a psychic. Psychers can perform an action and still do psychic powers like normal.
So if you had 3 of these, did it on first turn, have them all do that first psychic action, and then how many powers?
But you
can
could have
cast
one of
each?
them do this psychic action, one of them do the mission one, and then the other one just cast powers. Then you can just vomit out loads of mortal wounds.
Well, you may as well have all three doing psychic actions in it because of the psychic imperative and
Well, yeah, I suppose you could, but they do the additional mortal wounds even if they're just casting a regular power. Like, it doesn't have to be an
but
action.
it says each time this successfully manifests as a psychic power completes a psychic action.
Would the action take up one of the powers it can cast? Or is it
No,
different?
no, because like when you do a psychic action, you can't do any psychic powers. But then by
Okay,
having
so in that case, in the ultimate situation, one of these can do 27 mortal wounds because it would get 3
Yeah.
for the action, and then it could cast 3 powers with the stratagem one.
and you'd have all three doing an action. So obviously if they can do the action and psychic powers,
Yeah.
each one can cast 2 powers, is it?
You can cast 2, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
so
you can
2
cast
plus
a
an
third
action.
from strat.
And if they're all 7 plus,
8 plus.
8 plus, sorry.
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh wait, no, it's
No,
7 plus.
seven-
Sorry, 8.
yeah,
It's,
7
yeah,
plus.
8 plus is the wound. Sorry.
yeah, that's 9 mortal wounds each.
Yeah. And then it casts its powers as well and can do 3 more each for each power.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so 9. Yeah, so 9
Yeah.
per model.
Oh, 9 just additional power. Yeah, I see what you mean. But like, so the way I got to 27 then, here's how I work it out.
well,
You
there's
get
27
3
right
from
from
doing the. Like I say, this is the absolute max. If you get a D6 smite and roll a 6 for it, that's
Yep.
9, including the psychic overload. So we're at 9. Neuroparasite can do a max of 6 plus the 3, so that's 18. The psychic scream can do a max of 3 plus the 3, so that's 24. And then the psychic action would do another 3, so it could get 27 mortal wounds out of one of them. The others would be able to smite, but they wouldn't be able to get any other
The only,
psychic
like, the only
mortal wounds done.
The only downside with them is like their movement. You wouldn't be able to get that psychic overload going off on the first turn if you're 24 inches away. If you moved at 8,
That is true.
but if you advanced it though, but you'd have to get a 5, wouldn't you? So
Or Ben, put them all in Tyrannocytes.
yeah,
Drop them all in on turn 1, because Tyranid drop pods can come in on turn 1 now.
nice. Or if your opponent went first and they got closer,
Then you drop the Tyrannocyte down on your turn 1, 9
and then
inches
just
away
like
from them.
psychic power.
So a lot of their big bases, it's a lot of space that takes up, but it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I think you run 1, maybe 2. I don't think you'd run 3, but
I will run 3 for you and show you.
they are, so like I say, there's a lot of mortal wounds. It's got the Horned Chitin thing, so it can charge in and do more mortal wounds on the charge, and then it can hit at strength 10 in melee, or it can do 6 attacks at strength 7.
Yeah.
I think it's very strong, and hard to kill,
Yeah.
and just really worth taking.
Do you own any?
I don't. It's one of the few
No.
Tyranid units I actually don't own, and
Do you think you'll be getting them then?
maybe. So I've got my Parasite, and that's the first Tyranid model I've bought in like 3 years.
Yeah.
But reading this has me kind of excited about Tyranids again.
Where do you think they'll sit, like, competitively
Well,
with what's going on at the minute?
they didn't get touched at all in this balanced data slate, and Crusher Stampede is already like A tier. So I think
Yeah.
Tyranids could comfortably slide themselves into the S tier now that Custodies and Harlequins and Tau have cleared the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think you're right, yeah.
pretty confident that the 5 and the 2 honourable mention units I've mentioned will be very present in a lot of those lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
There's loads of other good stuff. I'm going to throw out units now, and you can just like edit in the ones that people are buzzing about.
Just say them all.
Yeah, Exocrine. So
Yeah, the gun on that. The gun on that seems really.
Eurofroat.
Yeah, yeah.
The Tyrannofex as well. That gun seems. Does that have ballistic skill 3?
Yeah, it does.
Or is it 4? It does. And that gun's damage is like D6 plus 4.
Yeah,
And it's 3 shots.
strength 14.
Yeah, that's nice.
Horospex seems alright.
Haruspex is my favourite Tyranid model, but like it's never been.
Yeah, it's it's just so over the top.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's great. Do you have one?
So I've got an Exocrine who's magnetized, so sort of
Right,
yes. Yeah. Because like you can remove its whole head, like the Exocrine's gun and its head is like all one bit, and you pull it off, and it like you can put the head and the top part of the horrible maw on that thing on instead.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
It's like one magnet. It works really well.
Cool. I think we're done. Yeah, trying
Done
to
it,
look
yeah.
great, as every single codex that comes out does.
Yep. Can't
Yeah.
wait for Knights to make them terrible in a month or so.
Yeah. Do you think that'll be the? Is that going to be the next one? Knights and Chaos.
There's, yeah, Knights and Chaos Knights, and then Chaos Space Marines, and then Squats by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And then
Or do you think they'll save? Do you think they'll save spots for 10th?
Maybe they might do.
That might be the box.
Well, they did at the end of 8th edition. That's when we got the new sisters.
Yeah, that's true.
So like they could do something like that, where like they sort of, and then at like the end of, did the Death Guard come out at the end of 7th or the start of 8th? They announced it at the end of 7th.
Yeah, start of 8th.
Yeah, so they could do something like that, where like they're sort of maybe the poster faction for the, because you know how like Necrons are like kind of the poster faction for 9th, Death Guard were for 8th.
Yeah.
They could be like squats for 10th or something, I suppose.
Cool. So I think we're done then.
I think.
Good talking.
Yeah.
See you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.